Wrath of Angels. Chapter 3, Scene 3. The Closed Conclave. Aboard the former ship, the Spear of Caliban. Month 3, year 260, the 41st millennium. The mortals were dismissed with a gesture, not a word. They went like tide water, leaving the stone exposed. Black adamant doors rolled on hidden gears and met with a kiss that sounded like two mountains deciding to agree. Candles shuddered down the nave, and then leveled, each flame the size of a nailhead. Silent sigils bled blue fire along the lintel, and sank into themselves until the runes were nothing but warm stone and an aftertaste of winter on the tongue. From the threshold, Lisa risked one last glance before the watchers shepherded the last of the serfs away. She saw the circle beginning to form, pale bone, black cloth, blue steel, and the way the floor around the altar looked subtly lower, as if 1,000 oaths had worn a shallow bowl there through weight alone. Then a small hand, cool as paper, pressed her sleeve. The gate swung on whisper hinges. The world became wall. Inside the sanctum, the air thickened by degrees until breath felt like a liturgy that must be performed correctly. The torches here were fewer. Their light did not flicker, it decided. Stained glass above the eastern apse showed scenes no mortal would ever be permitted to name. And as the candles steadied, the saints seemed to turn their faces away. Malchadek walked to the stasis capsule built into the altar's flank. The glass was milk with frost. A prayer-cut key rested against his sternum beneath the tabard. He drew it and pressed the tooth into a seam that could not be seen until it was found. Locks opened in a progression of small delights. Tick, click, a breath of cold like the first step into a crypt. Vapor rolled and skated along the altar edge. Within lay Azrael's cipher-codex, bound in nighthide, its edges sealed with scar wax, 5 locks of 5 different makes to offend 5 different gods. He spoke the unlocking names. They were not words. They were the memory of words after a day of too much smoke, the way a sermon clings to a nave once the people are gone. Each lock gave with the reluctant courtesy of an old soldier removing armor in front of witnesses. The last seal came away with a noise like a strand of hair breaking, and a smell of iron warmed in a palm. The codex opened on no visible writing. Its pages held oil ghosts that revealed themselves to the bearer alone. Malchadek read. His lips did not move, but his jaw did. The muscle there worked like a man grinding a seed between molars. Azrael's handwriting was the absence of handwriting. Strokes so precise they could have been cut with a blade and then healed. By command of the Supreme Grand Master, Keeper of the Unfailing Light, he said at last, the Hexagrammaton will be raised again as a living host. The fallen will be sought without cease. Captives taken where possible, broken into penance. Those who will not kneel will be ended. Secrecy, absolute. He felt the words slide off his tongue and seat themselves in the room. Each clause found a face to rest on. Athel, Mordain, Halvar, Seraphiel, Varadiel. The watchers were not counted, but were not forgotten. Brother Captain Athel set his shield down on stone. The sound of it was a stone laid atop a grave you planned to visit again and again. He did not remove his helm. Redemption is a lie, he said, as if announcing weather. Rot is pruned, not grafted back. We have forgotten what we are if we pretend otherwise. Ravenwing Captain Mordain folded his arms and thought about roads. His voice had the rasp of dust on a visor. If one kneels, our debt lessens. One man returned from the wrong path, empties a portion of the balance we cannot pay in any other coin. Kill the rest. But if one kneels, we reckon it. Sergeant Halvar, grinning, hair like wire, eyes with the calm of a man who has held a breach after all the brave men died, lifted his chin. "Iron can be worked again," he said. "When it snaps, you melt it. When it bends, you hammer it. Depends what you have time for and which tool is in your hand." Varadiel's staff tapped once. He had left it standing of its own accord beside the altar. Now he touched it with 2 fingers, as if to wake a patient animal. The blue gem breathed and stilled. "I saw 2 doors," he said, and the word "saw" made the room colder. One red with fire, one white with ash. He did not look at them while he spoke. He looked somewhere a heartbeat to the left of the world. Behind the white door is a room with a chair. The rope on the table smells of fiber and salt. There is chalk on the floor and a window that is not a window. In the left corner, a man kneels. He does not look up. He does not think he is allowed to. If we go through the white door, he will come when we call. He will not stop shaking for days. Behind the red door is noise. Not sound, noise. It is our name laughed through broken teeth. There are many men there, 1,000, or a number that stands for 1,000. They turn their heads to us in the way animals turn to the light they hate. The red door opens easily. The white sticks. The staff hissed as if rain had touched it. Athel did not shift his weight. "We cut through the red and bar it behind us." Mordain hooked a thumb in his belt. "We wedge the white before it sticks." Halvar looked at Malchadek, not for permission, but for weight. "We do both, and stop arguing when work begins." Seraphiel had not sat. He did not sit for councils. He stood at the edge of the ring like a hinge, cloak fallen straight, helm in the crook of his arm, the power fist hanging as if it were simply his hand, and not a verdict made metal. He said nothing yet. His silence made space for others, and turned that space into pressure. Malchadek closed the codex. He set it back into the stasis throat, and sealed only the last of the 5 locks. The others he left open like veins held between finger and thumb. He stepped into the ring. The Crozius in his hand suddenly felt very old and very heavy, as if the relic remembered every skull it had tapped, and would not be light until it had tapped all the ones left to it. He moved to Athel first, and struck the old wax on the pauldron, so that the flakes fell like husks. "You will be the edge that refuses to lie to the hand that swings it," he said. "Your certainty is a tool. We will use it where it fits." He moved to Mordain. The Crozius touched and left an oil print that would fade into the paint and never entirely leave. "You will measure corners and read men by their roads. You will decide whom the white door was built for and how to get them to it." Halvar next. Tap, crack, flake. "You will hold until the others decide. You will fix what the rest of us break by doing what we are built to do." He came to Varadiel and did not strike. He lowered the Crozius like a standard. "You will look and pay the price. Do not pay it all at once." The staff's breath deepened and steadied. Varadiel blinked as though light had been brought nearer. The ring tightened. The scrape of ceramite on stone, as men adjusted their stances, passed for wind in a forest of armor. The watchers moved until they made small black commas at 3 points of the circle. Grammar for a sentence that could end 9 different ways. A Greenwing veteran on the outer line cleared his throat and did not wait for leave. "What of mortals who see too much?" "Silence," Malchadek answered. He did not raise his voice. "Always silence." The veteran nodded as if he had guessed and wanted to hear it anyway. Kuldus, Deathwing, the bite in his helm from a chain blade shaped into a crescent that now looked like a smile that had cost too much, let his voice turn to steel filings. "If we bring them home bound, who holds the chain? And for how long?" Halvar's reply came without ornaments. "As long as we must." He did not look at Malchadek. Looking would have made it theatre. He let the words stand with their own boots on. Varadiel lifted his eyes from their offset gaze and let the vision deepen another finger width. "In the White Room," he said, softer, "the rope smells of salt because many hands have sweated on it. The chalk on the floor is not a circle, it is a stain in the shape of one. The man kneeling speaks once. He says a name. It is not his. If we kneel with him, he stands. If we remain standing, he breaks his teeth on the word brother and says it again anyway." Candlelight made a cowl edge glow. Someone swallowed, loud in the hush. Wax ran. The little rivers set like veins. Malchadek counted jaws and feet and shifts of weight. He counted pride as tallies inside himself. He tasted old smoke at the back of his mouth and the bitter aftertaste of the Codex's words. In 10 chambers to come, in 100, he saw himself in the same posture with the same tool and a different face in the chair. He saw himself fail the private test he most wanted to pass, to be the one judged, not the judge. He strangled the wish because wishing is a door and he did not have time for it. Purpose is given, he told the thought. It did not comfort him. He preferred discomfort he could carry to comforts that slid. Seraphiel finally moved. It was not much. A shift that changed the room's center of gravity. "We will build the Hexagrammaton again," he said. "We will carry the debt that was ours before we were born. We will hunt them. We will take those who will kneel. We will end those who will not. We will not speak of it to men who think they want to hear." He turned the helm in the crook of his arm and set it on the altar lip with care that would have looked like tenderness in another world. To the watchers, witness. The nearest inclined a hood. The gesture was so small that all its weight ran downhill into the floor. "Debate," Seraphiel said. "Finish it." Athel took it as permission to be sharper. When we have taken one in chains and he weeps, he is not redeemed, he is wed. We have used this word redemption too often as a way to flatter ourselves that we are merciful. We are not. We are accurate. Mordain smiled without warmth. Accuracy is a hunter's mercy. I am not arguing to open doors that should be shut. I am telling you that some prey walks into the snare because it has been running a very long time and wants to stop. "Pray," Athel said, and made the word tile hard. "Brother." "Both can be true," Mordain said. "It offends the neatness of your wall. That doesn't make it wrong." Halvar's mouth moved as if he were tasting iron. "In the breach, I do not ask if the man beside me is guilty. I ask if he holds. If he holds, I do not let him die first." Caldus raised the line of his scar, and when he lets go, "You step in," Halvar said, "or you die. Then the argument is over." Varadiel's staff ticked as if cooling from a heat no one else felt. The red door does not stay shut because we wish it. It stays shut because we keep walking past it together toward the one that sticks. If we stop to admire how well we barred it, it opens behind us like a mouth. A junior librarian, pale in the shadow of his elders, licked dry lips. Courage made him unfortunate. "If they kneel and lie," he asked, the last word almost lost as his voice tried to leave him. Malchadek turned his head, so the skull mask within the hood pointed like a finger. "Then you listen," he said very gently. "You will hear it in their marrow. If they lie well enough to pass you, I will still hear it when the bones speak. You will not be shamed for being deceived by what was built to deceive you. You will be shamed for not listening when a man's skeleton tells you he is still standing on another floor. Something eased along the circle. Not relief. Permission to keep hating the right things." Seraphiel nodded. "Cells," he said. "Cells," Malchadek echoed. The word fit him. "And a place where voices are not wasted on walls." They spoke of bricks and corridors then, which is to say they spoke of sins and futures. They measured the bowels of the wrath with language, vaults above the ventral shrines where the noise of engines would smother most sounds, narrow runs along the old spinal galleries with doors that would not echo when shut, a stair that turned too sharply for haste, floors that would flex and complain if a man struggled, channels for blood that could be scrubbed and would remember being clean. "We will need 3 rooms that admit no marking," Malchadek said. "Paint should not stick, chalk should not bite. Words will be spoken there that have already been spoken too many times elsewhere. The room should not be a 4th voice." "Done," Seraphiel said. "Rights of the Watchers on the thresholds." The Watchers were already at the places one would have chosen if one trusted little men with black hoods to choose right. One stood where a door would go, and was therefore a door. Another stood where the echo was worst, and so ate the echo. The third put a hand on the wall, and the wall stopped feeling like wall, and started feeling like patience. Varadiel exhaled through his nose, as if he had been holding breath for a long time, and did not want gratitude for enduring it. "No sigils on the cell walls," he said. "Nothing for the gaze to catch. The red door loves pictures." Athel frowned. "No scripture?" "None," Varadiel said. "The white door requires emptiness. He should see only us." "We are scripture," Malchadek said. He did not smile. No one had asked him to. They spoke of the chain again. Caldus insisted on iron because iron never forgot being iron. Halvar suggested layered leather over the bite points, because mercy that saves flesh saves time. Mordain demanded 2 chains, and 2 men, never one, because men who hold chains alone begin to believe myths about themselves, and myths make poor jailers. Malchadek agreed without comment, and wrote nothing down. There was no list. The list was the men in the room. The codex on the altar drew frost back to its corners, as if eager to be shut. Malchadek placed the night-hide covers together, and pressed until the wax in the last lock softened and caught. Stasis mist licked at his fingers like a cat. He slid the book into the glass throat, and the capsule closed with a sigh that was not mechanical. The air warmed a degree, which meant the room had forgiven none of them, but had decided it could bear them longer. "Secrecy," Seraphiel said, as if testing a blade for true. "Everything else we can overpay. Not this. You know what to do when men ask the wrong questions." Halvar inclined his head. "Teach them better ones." "At first," Seraphiel said, "no one asked what later meant. It was gentler sometimes, not to say." A watcher came to Malchadek's elbow and turned an empty palm up as if asking for alms. He set the Crozius head in the little hand for a heartbeat. The watcher did not dip. The arm did not bend. The relic's weight vanished and returned, the way a word handed from one voice to another feels new and identical in the same instant. The watcher gave it back. Malchadek's fingers closed around the haft and found a warmth there that was not his. "Then this is decided," Seraphiel said. It did not sound like a question. It sounded like a door. Athel lifted his shield. The edge rasped on stone, and then did not because he lifted it a finger higher to avoid the sound. "It was decided when the world broke," he said. "This is remembering." Mordain's mouth made something like a smile, and was not. "Roads still need riders. Walls still need weight," Halvar said. "Sight still needs to be paid for," Varadiel said, and managed not to make it an accusation against himself. The ring loosened in a way that did not reduce its strength. Men stepped back into places that had waited for them. The candles did not gutter, they bowed. Silent sigils along the lintel rewrote themselves and then agreed to be stone. "Cells," Malchadek repeated, because repetition is a way to force a shape into the air, and a place where voices are not wasted on walls. Seraphil inclined his head once. He would walk the decks now and find the walls by listening for which ones kept their counsel. Varadiel would stand in 3 thresholds and taste the air, and where it tasted like salt and chalk and rope he would set his heel and walk away. Athel would make a list of names to be put on no paper. Mordain would ride the maps of void and road, and write on them with a pencil that left no mark. Halvar would take a crew with strong hands and kind faces, and show them hinges that did not squeal even when asked. Malchadek remained by the altar a moment longer. He did not look down at the Crozius because he knew what it looked like. He looked instead at the line in the floor where 1,000,000 footfalls had made the stone lower by a thumb's width. He put his boot in the shallow and felt the fit. He did not thank anyone for it. He turned and the doors knew to open. Air thinned. Sound returned in layers. The nave accepted them back as if they had left only to fetch water. Mortals glanced up, saw nothing, and were grateful to see nothing. The cracked bell on its trestle considered being wrong again and decided to save it. "Work," Seraphil said, like a benediction with the blessing stripped out. The word moved. Men moved with it. Malchadek's hooded profile shifted toward the shadowed corridors that would become cells. "Bring me a chair," he said to no one in particular, and several men obeyed. "And rope," he added, as if naming ordinary tools for ordinary tasks. "We will build a place where words cannot hide behind themselves." Varadiel paused at the choir gate. The astropaths stood in their beautiful emptiness. One turned her head, as if hearing a bird. There were no birds. He placed 2 fingers against the gate and felt the white door stick, just a little, somewhere far away, and his breath caught with the pleasure of a hard thing that promises to be possible. The watchers dispersed, as they always did, to places men had not yet agreed were doorways. The Wrath's tone had lowered another note. No one said so. Everyone walked with it. This has been Wrath of Angels, Chapter 3, Scene 3. The Closed Conclave. Chapter 3,